So today we've got voting in New York. A bit of a problem, though. A lot of the Democratic voters have been purged. So there's a couple of different problems in New York. One is that if you're a Democrat, great, you can vote. But if you were a Democrat and they switched you without you even agreeing to it, sorry. You had to figure out that they switched your party affiliation and figure that out 6 months before the election, correct it, all the way back in October before you were really familiar with any of the candidates so that you could vote today. It is insane what they have in New York. It's worse than Alabama, worse than Mississippi, worse than any of those states. There's no state where you have to act earlier. I mean, look at how silly the Democratic Party is in New York. If you say, hey, I'd like to be a Democrat, they say, no, we're not going to let you be a Democrat unless you made that decision 6 months prior to the election. Why on God's green earth would you do that? I mean, all this time, Democrats are complaining about how Republicans want to keep down the vote and want to disenfranchise voters. What's the Democratic Party in New York doing? The exact same. But there's two different issues here, okay? There is the issue of the closed primary, and if you're not a Democrat, you can't switch to a Democrat unless you made that decision a million years ago, 6 months ago, in October, before you even knew, before most people had any idea who Bernie Sanders was, okay? The second problem is, well, some of you were Democrats. We just decided to change your vote, change your party affiliation so you can't vote. What? Okay, now, I'm going to begin to explain all that. First, let's understand what's happening in Brooklyn specifically. And boy, that is curious. If you don't remember, Brooklyn just coincidentally happens to be where Bernie Sanders is from. Okay, Mayor Bill de Blasio, as WNYC explains, has ordered the New York City Board of Elections to investigate why more than 63,000 registered Democrats were dropped from the voting rolls since last fall. Well, that is curious. Why were they purged? The request comes the same day as WNYC analysis revealed the largest decline in active registered Democrats statewide was in Brooklyn. Gosh darn it, another coincidence. Okay. They continue to explain. But new data provided by the City Board of Elections on Monday indicates it actually removed 126,000 Brooklyn Democrats from the rolls, according to Executive Director Michael Ryan. So the problem is far, far worse in the one place in New York where Bernie Sanders is from. Now, Michael Ryan and the rest of the piece, no. It just turned out that way. We were a little behind in purging because sometimes you have to, clean up the rolls to get rid of the people who passed away. So, there's no voter fraud and stuff. This is kind of almost exactly what the Republicans say, right? And it just so happened that we eliminated a lot of Democratic voters and most of them in Brooklyn. Golly gee, it just happened that way. Now, Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, is actually a supporter of Hillary Clinton. But he says, quote, "This number surprises me. I admit that Brooklyn has had a lot of transient population. That's obvious. A lot of people moving in, a lot of people moving out. That might account for some of it. But I'm confused since so many people have moved in that the number would move that much in the negative direction." Well, Mayor de Blasio, you're not the only one confused. We're also confused as to why that happened. So now there's a lawsuit that we've been reporting on all day. Jordan Chariton doing a great job of reporting on that for TYT Politics that I'm going to tell you about that's very relevant to this in 1 second. But I want to give you a scope of the problem here. As Think Progress explains, more than 3 million people, about 27% of New York voters, were registered outside Republican and Democratic parties as of April and are therefore ineligible to vote on Tuesday. Isn't that amazing? More than a quarter of the people in New York, you're not allowed to vote. This isn't a liberal state. I mean, how often have Democrats complained about, the conservative states, they don't want people to vote, they never wanted people to vote, we needed the Voting Rights Act, we need to reinstall the Voting Rights Act. By the way, that is a position I firmly agree with. But I think that it shouldn't just apply when it's Democrats versus Republicans. I think it should also apply when it's Democrats versus Democrats. I think it should apply in the South and in the North and everywhere. And all of a sudden in New York, in an incredibly important election at a decisive moment, oh, golly gee, sorry, you're not allowed to vote. By the way, again, the New York rules, there's two different things like I told you. The New York rules about a closed primary, I think, are unconscionable, but unrelated to this particular election. They've been that way for a long time. and I think they need to change immediately, no matter who's running in whatever's the next election, okay? But you're disenfranchising 3 million people in New York. That's outrageous. Now, the problems in this election, I think, are more curious and problematic. So Think Progress continues. A significant number of voters, including many named in the lawsuit, that's the lawsuit I'm going to tell you about, say their party affiliation was switched without their knowledge. And then they give one example. Westchester County voter Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decided to check on the status of her voter registration last month after hearing about the problems in Arizona's primary. She was dismayed to discover that despite being a registered Democrat since 2008, her party affiliation had been changed to unaffiliated. She is now unable to vote for her preferred candidate, Senator Bernie Sanders, in the primary. So they go on to explain that this happened to a lot of people. One of the reasons that it happened was in 2012, they made a special rule in New York because of Sandy Hook. It had hit right before the election. If you got caught in a place that was not your home and you can't get back to your home, they'll let you vote anywhere in New York. And you would do a certain kind of ballot to be able to do that. What they didn't tell you is if you voted that way, they then said you're no longer a Democrat. What? Why? Why would you do that? They say, okay, now you're unaffiliated. Sorry, you're not allowed to vote as a Democrat. Outrageous. So there's a lawsuit that, again, the Young Turks have been tracking that said, hey, no, wait a minute. New York, A, should be an open primary. This is outrageous. And B, more pertinent to this election, all these people who've been purged from the voter rolls or who got switched to unaffiliated when they are in fact Democratic voters should be allowed to vote. Well, again, Jordan Chariton was on the scene there and he talked to the lawyers about it. I'm going to tell you how the court ruled after you watch the lawyers making this case explain to you what you should do today. Watch.
What is the goal of the lawsuit and what are you hoping for?
Well, one of the things we want is the open primary. That's unlikely to be granted, but the major issue, and the one that we're going to really focus on with the judge, is that if you have been erroneously stricken from the voter rolls, which over 100,000 people in Brooklyn alone have been stricken from the voter rolls, that your vote is going to actually be counted this time. So what the mechanism is usually the Board of Elections takes your provisional ballot, checks it against the voter rolls. If it doesn't match, they throw it out. What we're asking for is that your vote stay counted until the Board of Elections can actually show that you're not a registered Democrat.
How would they vote? Through provisional ballot?
Well, they should vote for regular ballot if they're on the rolls. If they're not, do not let yourself get turned away. Ask for a provisional ballot, an affidavit ballot. You can even ask to talk to a judge and to get an order permitting you to vote. Now, the ironic thing is the Attorney General, the New York State Attorney General, is coming down to defend this case for New York State. However, if you have a problem at the voting booth, you're supposed to call the New York State Attorney General. So there's some conflicts of interest going on here that we're also dealing with. But regardless of that fact, if you are a registered Democrat, go down and vote. And if they don't allow you to vote, tell them you want an affidavit ballot. It's your right to do it.
Additionally, the National Voters' Rights Act, which is an act enacted by Bill Clinton in 1993 to address this voter suppression issue, says that you need to be in compliance, all the states need to be in compliance, and you cannot purge voters 90 days before an election, and all boards of election have to have records of purge voters for 2 years. So we are going to ask the judge to address this issue with the Board of Elections and have them go through the databases, and hopefully those provisional ballots will be counted.
Right.
Now, how's that for ironic? Passed by Bill Clinton in 1993. Back then when we want all the votes counted, we can't have those purges. Now that Bernie's surging, the Democrats are purging. So understand that the judge actually did rule that this should be adjudicated at a later time, meaning you should go and use a provisional ballot if they have purged you from the rolls, and those provisional ballots might be counted later. So now we don't know how the court's going to rule later, but the fact that they didn't dismiss the case is actually great news, meaning, hey, you've got a case here. We're going to hear you out. This happened at the last minute. We don't have enough time to adjudicate for sure if those provisional ballots should count, but there is some chance that they will count. So if you're in New York today, understand the polls have not closed yet. You know, whether it affects you or someone you know, you can and should use a provisional ballot, which might be counted later, even if they tell you, sorry, you're not a Democrat anymore, you're unaffiliated, and all the different reasons they give you to disenfranchise you. Don't let them get away with it. Go ahead and vote because that case did say that those provisional ballots might count later. So Jordan Chariton was one of the few reporters, if not the reporter on the scene. Now everybody's quoting him about that. And all the coverage is on TYT Politics as well as Facebook.com/The Young Turks. So we've got a race on our hands, and let's see how it turns out. I hope it's not too much of a mess, but it is a shame that in a state that matters so much in this particular election, in New York, that they have disenfranchised people to this degree. Hopefully some of that fight back against it will work, and we will get more people enfranchised and able to vote and give them the voting rights that they deserve.